Welcome to Keto Meals and Recipes.com. Today I have a wonderful treat I'm really happy to share with you, especially if you love chocolate, to show you how easy it is to make my Italian Flourless Chocolate Torta with a mild rum taste. By the way, you can make this torta with either using alcoholic dark rum or substituting that with rum extract for a non-alcoholic version. The thing I love about this torta is how moist it is. It's also dense and has a wonderful chocolate richness. And best of all, it's really quick to prepare. This torta has been made keto from a very popular Italian recipe that is often enjoyed with coffee, hot chocolate, or tea if you prefer. For your information, each slice of Italian Flourless Chocolate Torta has a macronutrient ratio of 3.1 to 1, with 9.3 grams of total carbs, 4.9 grams of soluble fiber, 0.8 grams of insoluble fiber, resulting in 3.6 grams of net carb per delicious slice. Now, there's a few prep steps before getting started. First, place your oven rack in the middle position and preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 177 degrees Celsius. And of course, as part of my prep, I always gather up all of my ingredients before starting. For this recipe, I'm going to be using a bain-marie, which is also called a double boiler, and with this, I'm going to melt my chocolate mixture. Begin by pouring water into a small saucepan. Fill it to about a quarter full. Next, I line the bottom of an 8-inch or 20 centimeter square baking pan with parchment. I also use a bit of butter to grease the top of the parchment and the sides of the pan. This will help the parchment to peel off the cake more easily. Having done that, set the cake pan aside. Then place your saucepan with the water onto your stovetop set to medium heat. You want to get a very light boil and then reduce the boil to a light simmer. Next, get a bowl that fits over your pot of water and drop in your room temperature cubed unsalted butter. For this recipe, I'm going to be using baking chocolate, but you can substitute that with your favorite sugar-free chocolate. And then I chop the chocolate into very small pieces. The reason for this is the chocolate will melt more quickly and thus prevent possible scorching of the chocolate on the bottom of the bowl. Once you've chopped up all your chocolate, just toss it into the bowl with the butter. Now to the same bowl, add your Dutch processed cacao powder and also your espresso coffee powder. Now place the bowl over the pot of simmering water, which is set just a bit lower than medium heat. That's because you want to keep the water to continuously simmer. While everything is melting, stir frequently. You want to combine the chocolate and the butter until it's all melted and you have a nice mixture that is velvety smooth. I would like to emphasize that while your chocolate is melting, stay at the stovetop and stir frequently. You don't want the chocolate to scorch on the bottom of the pan. That would really ruin the taste of this cake. And before I forget, I also add salt to this chocolate mixture and then give it a good stir. When everything is melted and combined, take this bowl off the pot and let the chocolate mixture cool to room temperature. In the meanwhile, get a large bowl to which you add your eggs and also add the powdered sweetener. Here I'm using the Lakanto Gold, but you could also use your regular white sweetener. That works as well. And with your hand mixer or stand mixer, whisk until the eggs are a nice pale yellow and fluffy. Having done that, place a sieve over the bowl and drop in the almond flour, the lupin flour, then just sift everything and stir until the dry ingredients are incorporated into the wet ingredients. And here you have your batter. Now get the bowl with the room temperature chocolate. At this point, add either your alcoholic rum or your rum extract. I'm using the rum extract. My chocolate mixture is too thick, so I'm going to thin it out by adding a little bit of heavy whipping cream and then stirring to combine. Everything's ready, so it's time to pour the chocolate mixture into the bowl with the batter. Stir or whisk until it's very well combined. The last ingredient I'm going to add is the gluten-free baking powder. Just sprinkle it over the batter and then give the chocolate batter a very good whisk. You want to do this to ensure that the baking powder is well incorporated so that when you have a bite of your chocolate cake, you don't get little pockets of bitter taste from the baking powder. Now it's time to pour the batter into your parchment-lined cake pan. Spread out the batter so that the thickness is even and then level the surface. Place the pan in your preheated oven and bake for 25 to 30 minutes. But before you remove the pan from the oven, test with the toothpick to make sure the cake is done all the way through. If it comes out a bit wet, give it a couple more minutes, but don't overbake. Then remove the cake from the oven. Let the cake cool in the pan for about 5 minutes. Run your knife around the perimeter, then remove the cake from the pan and peel off the bottom parchment paper. I wish you were here to smell this. It is so chocolatey and amazing. But I recommend you transfer this chocolate cake to a cooling rack. Let the cake cool completely to room temperature. This will also allow the chocolate flavor to fully develop, and it will allow the cake to set so that it won't be so crumbly when you cut it. I've let my cake cool for a couple hours, and here you have a choice. You can either cut the cake into fairly large 3 rows by 3 rows, or for a bit smaller pieces, 4 rows by 4 rows, which will give you 16 pieces. Or you can cut it into 4 rows one way and 3 rows the other way, which will give you 12 pieces, and these are just the perfect size in my opinion, and that's how I like to cut them. As I said, this cake is really rich. This cake doesn't need any icing, but I do like to sprinkle a bit of cocoa powder on top. However, if you find that the cocoa powder is too bitter for you, take your cocoa powder and add 1 teaspoon of powdered sweetener. Stir it well. Lastly, using a small fine mesh strainer, dust the top of the cake. All that's left to do now is to serve and enjoy with your favorite hot beverage. I'm going to enjoy a slice of cake because I've just poured myself a freshly brewed cup of coffee. One more thing, this cake is perfect for freezing. All you have to do is put it into an airtight Ziploc baggie or glass container and put it in your freezer. It will last for several months. Then you can take a piece at a time and enjoy it whenever you have a craving for something delicious. I hope you will try this very easy but delicious Italian flourless cake that has this very light rum taste. If you have a moment, please leave me a comment, say hello, and tell me where you live. Until next time, have a very happy and healthy day. Buon appetito!